Richard?
Let's go.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Would everyone please rise while we recite the council prayer? Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction, which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Armand Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Mayor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Motions.
Here.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Here.
Councilor Lenzi.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
9 yeas, 9 present, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The chair would like to recognize Councilor James Milanazzo, Councilor Rita Mercia, and Councilor Bill Martin for a moment of silence. Councilor Milanazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to offer two names for a moment of silence in darkened chambers this evening. The first is Yvonne Osella, wife of Albert Osella, who passed away this past Sunday. Mrs. Osella is also the mother of Peter Osella. Peter, as we all know, is the Deputy Superintendent of the Lowell National Park. She was also the mother of Richard and Albert Osella. She really adopted Lowell as her city, and she will be truly, truly missed. The second person I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chambers is Antonio DiStefano, father of Adriana Frederico. Adriana, is the owner of Cafe Paradiso, and she's actually here this evening on behalf of Winterfest, and we just want to let her know how sorry we are that her father recently passed away. So I'd like to offer Antonio DiStefano as well.
Thank you, Councilor Milanazzo. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Beatrice Hoare, teacher, guidance counselor at Lowell High School for over 30 years. She loved children, and I got to know her very well when she suggested that the school system provide a reading book to all incoming first grade students, which was supported every year through the efforts of the city, UTEL, United Teachers of Lowell, and the school committee as well. I would also she will be truly missed, and I'd like to offer a moment of silence for Alice Gallagher, retired Lowell school teacher. She was the wife of Charles E. Gallagher, with whom she celebrated their 55th wedding anniversary on June 20th, a member of a well-known Lowell family. She attended Lowell schools and was a graduate of St. Patrick's Girl High School. Mrs. Gallagher went on to receive her Bachelor's of Arts degree in sociology from Emmanuel College in the class of '49. Prior to her retirement, Mrs. Gallagher was a fifth grade teacher, first in Tewksbury and later in Lowell, where she taught for over 25 years at the Oakland/LeBlanc School. She was a communicant of the Immaculate Conception Church, an avid reader. She most enjoyed spending time with her family, especially her 7 grandchildren. She is survived by a daughter, Caroline, and 4 sons, Michael Gallagher, former school committee man, Daniel, Christopher, and Charles Jr. She will be truly missed. And I'd like to just offer a moment of silence for my brother-in-law, George Mercia, who died last week, very active in politics, very instrumental in helping me to be sitting where I am. And I offer a moment of silence to all those 3 people. Thank you.
Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence for Mary Jo Quinlan, the wife of Peter Quinlan, who died at a very young age of 46 after a many-year struggle with cancer. Mary Jo, Peter, and I were all at Holy Cross College together in the late 70s and 80s, and there weren't many of us from Lowell at the school at that time. We tried to look after each other, and must admit that Peter did a lot more looking after me than I did after him. But she is survived by her parents, Jack and Elaine Riley, as well as Peter, their 3 children, her in-laws, Garrett and Mary Quinlan, many other family members. She was a terrific person and will be sorely missed.
And the chair would like to offer a moment of silence for Dr. Edward Saber, a loving husband, father, grandfather, served this country with pride and distinction during the Second World War and the Korean War. Dr. Saber served on the City of Lowell Board of Health for decades. Let us all stand in darkened chambers for a moment of silence for these outstanding citizens. Thank you. May they rest in peace. Good evening, and welcome to the council meeting. And we'd like to present some awards and citations to those people involved in Winterfest 2009. And to help with those presentations and awards, our cultural director, Elsie Nunn. Please come on, Elsie, give Elsie a round of applause, please. And Chris Samaras, who's going to assist us presenting these awards. And I do have some citations, and I will read those citations. And the first citation.
Yes, we have our first, if I could just say a couple quick remarks about this year's Winterfest, Mayor. Good evening, members of the council, city manager. My colleague Chris Samaras and I are very pleased to announce that our 9th annual Winterfest was a tremendous success. Each year, as we know, this event attracts thousands of people to celebrate Lowell. It boosts revenue for our downtown businesses and local attractions and helps improve our quality of life here in the city. So we did coordinate 36 programs over 3 days. We expanded programming, and we estimate that we brought in over 20,000 people and families to the signature event. A well-organized Winterfest committee and a vast number of corporate partners and sponsors helped make this a success. And thanks to a coordinated marketing effort with our Greater Merrimack Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Chamber, and our office and our media partners, we were able to draw in record crowds and doubled parking revenue this year. So we are delighted to celebrate with the winners. The first up is the snowman competition, and this is for the first place goes to Sullivan School.
And I will read the citation. The citation reads, "Be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates the Sullivan School for winning the snowman competition at Lowell Winterfest 2009. As Lola Bear says, don't hibernate, come celebrate. The entire City of Lowell is proud to honor all who participated in the Lowell Winterfest 2009. Please put your hands together for these wonderful kids from the Sullivan School."
Our second place winners for the snowman competition will receive medals, the Wang School, and the third place, the Butler School. So. And to all of our winners in the snowman competition, thank you so much. Thank you, all of your participants, and we hope to see you next year. Next up, we have the Mayor's Cup National Human Dog Sled Race with Lowell High School's Wicked Irish.
And I do have a citation for them, LZ, and the citation, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Lowell High School Wicked Irish for winning the Mayor's Cup for high school students in a National Human Dog Sled Championship race at Lowell Winterfest 2009. Put your hands together for them.
Thank you very much, and congratulations. Next up, we have our National Human Dog Sled Race. Lowell Devils were this year's, the Lowell Devils Booster Club were the winners. Congratulations.
And I have a citation for them, and it reads, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates the Lowell Devils Booster Club for the first place finish in the National Human Dog Sled Championship at Lowell Winterfest 2009.
Congratulations. Yes, come on in. Photo op. Great. Congratulations to the Lowell Devils Booster Club. Next up, we have the National Human Dog Sled Race competition for the costume. Our costume competition winners are not playing with a full deck. Congratulations.
And the citation reads, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates not playing with a full deck for the first place finish in a National Human Dog Sled Costume Competition at Lowell Winterfest 2009. And you deserve to win, I'll tell you.
Well, the costumes are in back as well.
Yes.
Congratulations. Next up, we have our North Bowl Soup Competition. The Jurors Award goes to French's Restaurant for their steak bomb soup.
And the citation reads, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates French's Restaurant for winning the Culinary Award for their steak bomb soup in the North Bowl Soup Competition at Lowell Winterfest 2009.
Do you have any pictures? I think we... Hang tight for just one moment. Okay. Our next up is our People's Choice Award for the North Bowl Soup Competition Saints Medical Center for their Chicken Duchess Soup. Congratulations. Very well done. Please go right on up.
And the citation, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Saints Medical Center for winning the People's Choice Award for the Chicken Duchess Soup in the North Bowl Soup Competition at Lowell Winterfest 2009. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And one of our new competitions, the Winter Cocktail Competition, our honorable winner goes to Adriana DeStefano and Cafe Paradiso.
And the citation reads, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Cafe Paradiso for the first place finish in the cocktail competition at Lowell Winterfest 2009. Adriana, God bless you.
Terrific. Congratulations. And to complete the culinary component, the cookie competition was a new competition this year, and our winners were Groovy Grub, a new downtown business. Congratulations.
Citation, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Groovy Grub for the first place finish in the cookie competition at Lowell Winterfest 2009. Congratulations.
And we want to recognize the runners-up for the costume competition who would like to pop over on the other side with Lowell Devils. And this was Moody is Wonderland, an incredible costume, and they were heroes. You should have seen them on the dog sled races. And Moody is Wonderland, we will be mailing out your citations. Thank you very much. The last two competitors, our Merrimack Valley's Got Talent competition did a youth slam. The youth slam team from Lowell hopes to compete nationally, and this is from UTEC, United Teen Equality Center.
And the citation reads, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Lowell's youth slam team for the first place finish in the Merrimack Valley Got Talent competition at Lowell Winterfest 2009.
Okay, you can announce that. Okay, and we want to also recognize the second and third choice for the People's Choice Award went to Centro Restaurant and Cobblestones Restaurant. So round of applause to recognize them. Last up, our Honorable Susan Leggett Volunteer Award this year goes to Corey Belanger for his amazing work that he does every year on this event. So we will recognize him with this beautiful Winterfest clock. And is Corey here tonight? I know he had tickets to a hockey game. So.
I will read the citation, and I must say that anything we do in the city is not successful without volunteerism, and Corey Belanger certainly exemplifies this award. And the citation reads, be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby congratulates Corey Belanger for winning the Susan Leggett Volunteer Award at the Lowell Winterfest 2009. And Corey Belanger, you deserve this, believe me.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
While we're still fresh on the Winterfest 2009, the mayor and the council would like to thank LZ Nunn, Chris Samaras, TJ McCarthy, all the city workers who worked tirelessly to make it happen, especially the volunteers who volunteered their time, but more importantly, the sponsors. Without the sponsors, we could have never have made this possible. I want to thank everyone for being involved and looking forward to Winterfest 2010. God bless. Moving on with the agenda, it is an honor for me as the mayor to bring this gentleman to the podium. And it's Kevin Coughlin, Vice President of Community Affairs at Saints Memorial Hospital. In 1983, the three Lowell hospitals and communities came together and established the Advanced Life Support Paramedic Service. Initially, the service was operated by St. Joseph's Hospital until it merged with St. John's Hospital in 1993. Today, Saints Medical Center operates the service provided to the City of Lowell in the towns of Chelmsford, Dracut, Dunstable, Tewksbury, Tingsboro, and Westford. Over the past 25 years, the Saints paramedics have responded to over 200,000 calls for advanced life support. Kevin Coughlin, it's a pleasure to have you in our council chambers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm here tonight with very good news acknowledging the 25th anniversary of our paramedic service. You know, it's a wonderful event for us, but I want to encourage everyone in the city and also all the councilors, the administration, to take part in the pride of this because it's a Lowell-grown hometown service. And 25 years ago, it was started in Lowell. It has grown in its ability to provide services, and you know, we now branch out into not just the city of Lowell, but all the surrounding towns that touch Lowell, and even go out in some cases as far away as Littleton to respond. We differentiate a little bit from the ambulance services that you hire here in the city in that we do not transport any patients. We are the advanced life support that on certain calls, extreme emergencies, we have a highly trained paramedics that go and usually will beat the ambulance to the scene and provide life-saving services and then accompany the ambulances back to the hospital of choice for that service. One of the things that I always like to reflect on in terms of speaking to elected officials here is when you think of 25 years and knowing what you're dealing with today in terms of budgets and the tumultuous activities of trying to run the city, we think back of 25 years, all the changes of leadership, changes of government cycles, funding cycles, all those things that went into place over 25 years. And we're really proud that we have such a good story to tell in terms of the hospitals here in Lowell, Massachusetts, and also the personnel and the devoted individuals and so many lives that have been saved by this ongoing service. You know, when you grow and you progress and you really feel you provide leadership in a field, I know today, many times with all the restrictions that you're feeling and the pressures, we're managing shrinking ships, not sinking ships, you know. But we're all in it together and we're all doing very good things, so we take a lot of pride in that. Secondly, I want to tell you what a good job your police department, your fire department, and all the workers who work on the ambulance services do for you every day. You know, they're highly trained day in and day out, and then they're called upon in a split second to go and move into harm's way or provide life-saving services in conjunction with our paramedics at some of the most horrible, atrocious scenes that ever could be imagined when they arrive on the sites. So they do a lot of good things. They provide, you know, services day in and day out, but when they're really called upon, they really produce for us. And it's no different, you know, 2 weeks ago, now I guess, we observed a plane landing on the Hudson River. Just yesterday there was an armed barricade in Salem, Massachusetts, and one of the SWAT team members from the Lowell Police regionally had to reply and respond to that. And, you know, it all comes down to very precise training, very engaging people, and all of that coming together at the right time to produce exemplary results for the good of the public. So we thank you for joining with that. It's my pleasure. I'd like to introduce Ben Podsiadlo, who very briefly would just talk about the paramedics and let you know a little bit more in specificity. He is the chief of our paramedic services.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here tonight representing the paramedics. Thank you very much for recognizing us. We're deeply honored to provide the Advanced Life Support Service to this wonderful community. We all love Lowell, and we're very grateful to the council, the manager, for supporting us, not only in the present, but over the years. It's a unique program. It's a model for success, we feel it is. And I was reflecting on our 25th anniversary, which we're celebrating this Thursday. Hopefully you'll join us. We're looking forward to seeing you. The most important thing about it is that lives are saved and that it's all about teamwork. We work very closely with Chief LaValle's professional force and Chief Pitta's excellent firefighters, and as well as our colleagues in Trinity EMS. Just recently, in the past several weeks, we were able to save 2 lives on Fred Street and Oak Street, patients who were clinically dead, and the teamwork of our response of the Lowell Fire Police Departments, Trinity, and Saints paramedics was able to revive these patients and bring bring them home to their families. And I feel confident saying that this community supports an EMS system that saves lives that would otherwise be lost. We're able to bring programs like the first field cooling of patients in New England after cardiac arrest, and that was done on Fred Street for a gentleman who had a prolonged cardiac arrest. His heart was stopped for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it looked very grim for him, and he's back home with his family. He's fine. So, and we're very, very grateful to council for all of your support. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you.
Again, officially would like to invite everyone here to join us on Thursday night at the Lowell Auditorium between 6 and 8. We left a small gift at your table for you as a reminder, and we are co-sponsoring this event with Trinity Ambulance. We're very pleased to have a close working relationship, and we just end by saying thank you once again.
Kevin Coughlin, thank you. Thank you. Last Wednesday, I had the honor of meeting with Ziggy Burns in the mayor's office, and I also had the pleasure of meeting the new CEO and president of the Lowell Cooperative Savings Bank. And I invited both of them here this evening so the viewing public and the council will get to meet Richard E. Bolton, Jr., president of the Lowell Cooperative Savings Bank. Mr. Bolton, welcome, and you're welcome to come to the podium and address the council and the viewers at home. Let's give a round of applause for the new CEO.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the council for giving me an opportunity to introduce myself for a few moments. I'm a little new to the city and to Lowell Cooperative Bank, but have a lot of ties to the city in the past. I've grew up in the Concord area and worked at Wang Labs in the heydays, and I can tell you what the inside of the towers are and what the Pawtucket Boulevard looks like too, and crossed those bridges many times in the traffic that still exists today, by the way. So, but we're very excited at Lowell Cooperative Bank. This is, I'm really here. One part of it is to introduce myself, but also to recommit ourselves and our organization to the city. Myself, you'll see myself, heavily involved in the city. Our staff, we're going to raise up the level that their involvement is, and we know the importance of being, being a community business and being a community leader in the business community, and that's what our goal is. So we're very excited about this, and Ziggy's been a great PR person for me, introducing me to a lot of great people in the Lowell area. I've had a lot of connections here over the years, but it's great to reconnect with those over the next few weeks and over the next coming months. So I welcome any of you to come in and visit me and introduce yourselves one-on-one if you'd like. I'm right down on Hurd Street. And again, we're very excited. We'll be introducing new products, and we're going to be, we've retained all the staff at the bank, and we're going to be expanding the staff and looking for more personnel. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we have another 10 or 15 more employees over the next 12 to 18 months, and that's what our goal is. So I thank you very much and appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all.
Mr. Bolton, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
The chair would like to recognize a friend of everyone in the city, Ziggy Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to add what Rich has said, and I think it's important to realize that this was not a bailout. It's not state money, federal money, or top money. Rich put together a bunch of personal investors who have come in, made a commitment to the city, and they're guaranteed to carry on the tradition of a bank that's been around for 131 years. No, I didn't start when they did, Michael, but it's so important that they're going to maintain it. And Madam Councilor and gentlemen of the council, I'm so glad you had a chance to meet him, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, very, very much.
You're very welcome. Before we move into the agenda, I just want to let the viewing audience at home know why we're wearing white ribbons. And this Thursday, in the City Hall lobby, City Manager Bernie Lynch, Alternative House, the mayor, and the Domestic Task Force will be having a press conference, and we're wearing the white ribbon to more or less solidify our support for this great task force. So on Thursday at 12 noon, a White Ribbon Day campaign 2009, City of Lowell, Tuesday, February 12th, 2009, noon at the City Hall lobby. We're wishing everyone can attend, and that's why we're wearing the white ribbons. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting. So moved by Council Broderick, seconded by Council Elliott. All in favor of accepting the minutes and place them on file signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The minutes have been accepted and placed on file. Communications from City Manager in response to council motions. Does anyone have a discussion? Council Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, we received, as a result of the Finance Subcommittee meeting, actually it is an item on the agenda, but I just had some questions because it was in response to a Finance Subcommittee meeting that we were going to have today, but there was a joint arena meeting with the City Council. And it's regarding cuts to the 9C cuts. You provided us with a breakdown. Do you have a breakdown of the reductions to date? But there's an additional $577,000 that has to come. Is that forthcoming? Is that in the works? And
Mr. Mayor, to the councilor's question, that is in the works. We're working right now with the employee groups on a plan to bridge that gap, and we're optimistic that, particularly based on the meetings that we've had to date, that we will be able to do that. As I've indicated, our goal here is to, obviously our primary goal is to balance the budget for fiscal year '09. We'd like to do that in a way that for this fiscal year avoids any layoffs. We have no, next year is a very challenging time. I actually have an interesting presentation that I'll be forwarding on to the council with sort of the outlining where we are with regards to fiscal year 10 and the problems that we're going to be facing. But suffice to say that right now we've got a plan in place that we're working on that will close that final gap, and we'll be able to say that we're set for '09 with the understanding that we obviously are going to have to move sooner rather than later to start to prepare ourselves and implement fiscal year 10.
I know at that Finance Subcommittee meeting there was clearly a desire to, whatever means that we have to go through, layoffs would be the last resort. Are we still at that point? Are you able to, I know you're going to meet with unions, clearly this has to be discussed with the unions. Have those meetings taken place, and you will be presenting as a result of meeting with the unions?
A number of those meetings have already taken place, and the remaining are scheduled at this point in time. Again, our goal here is to eliminate or avoid the need for layoffs for really two purposes. The primary purpose clearly is to maintain government services as much as possible, tax dollars being spent for the services that people demand and expect. And then the other, obviously, is we'd like to be able to avoid having to let go of long-time or even short-term employees of the city. That's certainly not our goal to do that. The one caveat to all of that is that next year the problems are very severe, as we know, and down the road it may be necessary to begin moving. We're working with the unions and employee groups for fiscal year '09, but we've also begun talking to them about fiscal year 10 and trying to find ways to help us reduce costs so that we can maintain services and avoid layoffs. But it's likely that there will be some job reductions for fiscal year 10. And then with regards to that, it may make sense to move sooner rather than later on some of those reorganizations and job reductions so that it lessens the burden for fiscal year 10, which is going to be such a tight year. But for the purposes of balancing fiscal year 09 alone, we think we can do that without actually laying off any employees.
And to the best of your knowledge, one last question, Mr. Mayor. Best of your knowledge, we don't anticipate any further cuts from the state. I mean,
no, I don't. I
guess I had heard
any.
a report last week sometime that, you know, the governor is hopeful, as he was, you know, several months ago, and that this hopefully will be the last round of cuts. But is
I was at a meeting today at the Municipal Association, and I had the opportunity a little bit later in the day to be part of a legislative meeting with the regional transit authorities across the state, at which time we talked about the state budget situation for fiscal year 9 and fiscal year 10, and the consensus is that they're pretty much on target for fiscal year 09, but in the focus now is really developing the budget for fiscal year 10.
Thank you.
Council Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, we got a note in here that we got some more good news on the Lachulis litigation.
Yes.
Could you, as solicitor, something just give us a brief update as to what else is pending, if you know offhand?
The only other matter that comes immediately to mind that's pending is that there's still an issue that's going to be brought before the First Circuit in Washington with regards to the FERC decisions. There was an initial FERC decision that the license for the hydro plant at that site was no longer in force and had not been enforced for some time. That was appealed by Mr. Lachulis, and that was denied. That has now been filed in the First Circuit, and we anticipate that we will be there working in conjunction with FERC to present our case that license should not be put back in place. That's all of the current litigation that we have.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, we got a report from Assistant City Manager McCarthy on the pavement condition index. Is this on the online yet?
I don't believe that's online yet. We'll be putting that online. I think we made a commitment that we would do that, and I appreciate the reminder that we will get that up and online.
Thank you.
I must state that Commissioner McCarthy did a lot of hard work putting that together, and Lisa DeMeo, the city engineer.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could I ask a question about that report?
Go ahead. Councilman Martin, no.
I didn't quite get the color coding as to what was what. Different colors are in a different state of disrepair or good repair, and it just there's an index, and if it's red, that means 25 to 60, which I assume is the worst, but maybe that's the best. So do we know?
I'll have Lisa DeMeo.
High number, good road.
High number is good road. So we have a lot of red, right?
And one of the things that I like about that map is it shows where they're located. It's not one neighborhood. That's scattered town-wide, citywide.
Yeah. No, it's a very good document. You could tell it took a lot of work to put together, and hopefully we'll be able to make use of it as we do some things to improve or make it less likely that roads deteriorate over time. So thank you.
Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. If you could, Mr. Manager, just as a point of clarification, because I did receive a number of calls from landlords that own properties with units 5 and above, and the issue of curbside recycling came up. And their question was, even though the trash for non-owner occupied will discontinue on March 2nd, they question the issue of curbside recycling. So if you could just address that. I know there is a memo which makes it pretty clear that curbside recycling will also cease, but I just want...
Is that the multi-purpose use?
Correct, yes.
I've received numerous.
I have as well.
Actually, I think Mr.
ahead,
Mayor, I
Mr.
think the councilor's question was more in line with just the recycling program for the multifamily
Correct.
dwellings that are no longer eligible for our solid waste program.
Correct.
And under the ordinance that was approved, they will no longer be eligible for the recycling program as well.
Okay.
But we are working with our Solid Waste Advisory Committee to work out some type of system that would help them with their recycling moving forward.
Okay. If it's owner-occupied up to 6 units, would they be eligible or not?
Yes, it would be eligible.
They would be eligible, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
On that same subject, Council?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, then Rita Mercer, Council Rita Mercer.
Mine's not on the mixed, mine's just on this with the 5 and 6s.
Let me recognize
Thank
Council
you,
Rita
Mr. Mayor.
Mercer.
I'm concerned about the new recycling/trash bindependence campaign that we're having here, and people are concerned, similar to what Councilor Milanazzo said about the mixed-use property, whereby you had a business downstairs, and you have units of, probably 2 or 3 units of housing upstairs, and they paid through their trash, sewer, water bill, but now because there's I guess in 1988, the ordinance said that they were not included, but somehow it slipped. And I had a few calls from people such as Kevin over here, who waded through all this, and he was one of the people that received a letter from the health department that said that he's no longer eligible. And you know, to me, it's really not fair, because they are taxpayers and they're residents, but let me just say that through a motion, and I'd like to have a motion on this, to ask, if it's okay, to get a report on how many mixed-use development this development entails with the people, and perhaps maybe we could revisit this issue and section in the ordinance. So let's just see if we could do that.
Can we differentiate between owner-occupied mixed use as opposed to just plain mixed use? Because there's a big difference.
Well, I'm talking about a business that's downstairs.
Multi-purpose.
The guy lives in a building. Owner-occupied.
Well, what if the tenants live in the building?
Then some
They're
landlords are
residents,
responsible.
they're residents.
No, I agree with you. I think this
I mean,
mixed use thing has got a lot of
I don't know how it's
problems.
fair that these people all these years paid and now they're not eligible because there's a business downstairs. I don't understand that. So let's, through a motion, get a report as to the number of how many is this affected. Are we going to go bankrupt from revisiting it? Or let's revisit this, and that's my motion. Is that
Motion by
okay?
Council Rita Mercer to get a report from the city manager on how many
How many this is affected?
multi-purpose units that are in the
Right.
city and how it's going to affect.
Yes.
Seconded by Council Kazanjian. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Council Martin, and then Council Kazanjian.
Thank you. I've got calls from people with the 5 and 6 units, not owner-occupied, so they're going to go off the system, but, you know, still very dense neighborhoods, small yards, not really a place to put a dumpster. Is there a suggestion we have to offer these people, or their services we're going to, make available? Or, I mean, I know we can't suggest one hauler over another, but if you have a small yard, doesn't have a dumpster, where do you go? Some people are somewhat at a loss as to what to do.
Mr. Manager?
Council, I'll refer that to Mr. McCarthy. He's been doing some work on this issue, and obviously it's something that does affect certain sections of the city.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilor, one of the things, I think the context, larger context, is that you need a dumpster. I know that was some of the things that the health department sort of pushed you in, but there's nothing to stop a private company from using different color toters as we're distributing. I know a lot of other, the private service does not just mean a dumpster per se, even though I think some of the material that went out there. What we did do is we're setting up, through the health department, is our meeting with all the regional collectors that are out there, explaining what the ordinances are here and what services that we request that they offer citizens or people who are going to be affected in 5 or 6 unit family homes. So certainly it does not just fit the context of you have to get a dumpster. You can, put Glad trash bags out on a particular day. That's one of the things we wanted to take a look at, an alternate pickup day. But with the colored bags and with the bins, we don't think there's really going to be a problem. Cut down on the number of trucks potentially that are going to be in neighborhoods and impact it. But to say that you're boxed in by just getting a dumpster, I don't think is necessarily the context we want to put forth. Certainly, toters of a different color and bags are certainly a way to facilitate that. At some point, we want to take a look at, maybe the feasibility of a drop-off location to facilitate some of the condos and other units that aren't receiving recycling, because it is important to do that.
All right, well, people are under the impression it's the dumpster, and what do you do if you don't have one? So I applaud your efforts in trying to get those services more widely known.
Yeah, and those lists are, we've had quite a few companies requesting the 5 and 6 unit to actively go out and seek those particular properties.
Thank you.
Councilor Kazanjian, and then Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to reinforce what Mr. McCarthy had said, that there's some 5 and 6 family and big and larger units out there where BFI or Allied Waste will drop off a 64-gallon container and also drop off a recycling bin and operate just like you do in the city. And you'll pay that company on the landlord will pay that company on his own. And also on the mixed use, I've received a bunch of calls myself, and I'm willing to, as you know, go forward with and take a look at it to see what we can do to resolve that. I think we can get a better handle on it now. Before, you couldn't tell if it was the business owner putting out trash there or the residents. But now where the residents have bins and the business owner won't, you'll know which one is which. And I think, like I said, I think we keep a better handle on it. So.
Councilor Rita Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In keeping in line with that, I know that the campaign went out where sections of the city, according to where what day your trash was, received a maroon, well, I want to say tote, but that's like a company name, so we're going to call them a cart, a wheeled cart. So let me just say that sporadically throughout my neighborhood, I saw them out already. We delivered them, but not to use right now till the first week of March. I just want to say that for the listening audience, because they're very heavy. A machine arm has to come up and pick them up on my street, and thank you, TJ, because this was, they still came and they were pulling the bags out of the thing because they're very heavy. So please, even though you received it, didn't mean to use it right now. It's the first week in March that we're offering this service. It's not in effect yet. So for those of you that are watching, I don't know what trash day is tomorrow, but please don't use them right now. It's not in effect until the first week in March. Thank you.
Councilor Elliott.
Mayor, I was wondering if we just want to take my motion, which was to have the manager update us on the recycling, or the recycling coordinator on where we are with the educational outreach and the whole thing. It seems like it's appropriate to. We're halfway through it, so.
All in favor of taking Councilor Elliott's motion out of sequence, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests the city manager and the recycling coordinator update the city council on the efforts on public awareness, educational outreach on new solid waste collection systems. Seconded by Councilor Rita Mercer.
Well, we're halfway through it, so, I mean, the motion speaks for itself, but just knowing bins were being rolled out and folks, we were getting questions on implementation and mixed use and things like that, that I'd get an update as to where we're at and how it's going, and it's funny, I had the same, someone called me the same concern, they're using the barrels, but they're too heavy for the men to pick them up. So, Mr. Manager, how are we doing? And I guess if I can just add to my motion, have we reached out to, particularly, I know there were concerns, and rightfully so, those communities that, are not well versed in speaking English, and where are we with that particular aspect as well?
Okay. Well, councilors, generally we would, take the motion and have it voted, and then we would go back and get a report. But I do think that there's a certain timeliness here. So I think we have Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Wellenstein here tonight who are running this program for us. So I'm going to ask them to give a presentation on where we are. It's been pointed out the bins have been circulated around the city. We've been getting a few questions here and there, but generally speaking, I think people are knowledgeable about the system. We've been doing publicity in the newspapers. We've been getting pamphlets out to all the neighborhood organizations. I know I keep on running into Gunther at every neighborhood organization out there. But I'll ask Mr. McCarthy to sort of lay out where we are now, some of the problems we've encountered, but what we're doing about those, and what remains to be done to bring people up to speed.
Sure. To date, just under about 10,000 of the toters, carts, have been delivered to various sections of the city. They're being rolled out in accordance with the day of trash pickup. So roughly, we're just almost at the halfway point. A hotline is up, it's functional. I want to really promote that you'll see that on the advertisements, on the LRTA, and advertisements in the newspaper to call that information. Just for the general public at home, that number is 978-674-4BIN, or 978-674-4246. The other things that will be coming out is a robust ad campaign, obviously with in partnership with the city, with Allied Waste, for more information on particulars of the program that are coming in. Again, as Councilor Murcia pointed out earlier, some of the bins that were delivered last week were put out. Allied Waste has put on the automated trucks and is facilitating the collection. It was anticipated. We didn't really talk about it or really put it out, because we are asking people to hold them until March 2nd, the official Bin Dependence Day kickoff. But they will be facilitated for those people who are not getting caught up to speed. The last component of that is a very informational brochure that's coming out there. We are later than I'd like to have it coming out. We were hoping to have it with the census and the tax bill to try to save a little bit of money, but we're going to have to look at alternative ways. The census should be coming out by mid of next week, so we're going to be looking at different ways to get information into the households a little sooner than we can this week. On a positive note, on a daily basis, we're having a conference call with the contractor, Allied Waste, and they, quote unquote, recycling has been through the roof in the last week and a half up to this date. I can't quantify that now, but I will quantify it for the next council package. So that's positive news. That's the direction that the council and the manager have pointed us in, and I think that's where we want to be at the end of the day through this program. As far as educational outreach, Lowell High School recycling program is making a video, just completing a video, wrapping up a video, I should say, that will be airing in the schools. The more moving into the elementary schools, I think we sort of have the plate full right now. So once we get Independence Day rolled in, we'll meet with the superintendent of schools to see what sort of curriculum can be developed for the younger school children to try to take advantage of. So I invite you to again, call the hotline. The numbers are coming in right now, between 40 and 50 calls a day, Gunther? An hour, okay. So the information is, we have two, besides Gunther, we also have the two part-time solid waste folks who are there working on a one-on-one basis with people who need some additional information about Independence Day. Obviously, roll out some of the issues that came up with the as is in the report. The 5 and 6 home units, we're using the assessor's database, so some residents may have it may be listed to a different address, so we're correcting those as we go, taking the information, and we'll be dropping bins off to those folks. Elderly bins, obviously, if folks were signed up on to receive the elderly discount, or if they signed up because they don't throw out as much trash, I should say, they're eligible for the smaller bin. To date, that's probably been the toughest challenge at this point here. Some folks want to discontinue when they see the size of the bin. They want to go with the larger bin. So there'll be a little bit, everybody will have a bin, one size or another, but we'll facilitate the proper bin to meet everybody's needs as they so desire. It's important that we understand that the bin actually now belongs with that property. So it's going to be very, as we go forward with budgets and staffing levels and so forth, we'll be cognizant of the fact that, how much time we may have to dedicate the workforce to switching out bins, and we want to try to keep that to a minimum in the program. But certainly we want to take care of the elderly needs. So we'll work on the program and develop the program. Once Bin Independence Day is there, gauge the attitude and what's needed, and change any sort of policies that we need to have from that point. But we feel confident that at this juncture of time, all of the between 26 and 28,000 households will have a bin in one shape or form for March 3rd.
I just want to say that Sunday evening I received a call from a constituent that people were putting up these new barrels, and I called TJ immediately. And he was out in that neighborhood with the Allied Waste Supervisor, 6:30 in the morning, overseeing that issue. So you're on top of everything, TJ. And
some curveballs, the stickers with the cold weather that began last week, if you recall. I'm very excited that we've gone one full week without a snowstorm since Christmas. But the stickers weren't exactly sticking with the cold weather, so that was one thing we didn't anticipate. So there was some information that didn't get on top of bins when they went out. So those folks that didn't receive, especially on the first 2 days, they'll be re-stickered with some other information that's put on there. So again, invite you to call the information hotline. Invite you to visit the website, and there'll be more information forthcoming in the mail very shortly.
Councilor Elliott and Councilor Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. That was a good update and informational. As you mentioned, recycling is going through the roof, which is a good thing. My question was, once we go on March 2nd with the new system, homeowners, property owners can use the barrels that was once used for trash for recycling, because presumably the recycling is not going to fit in those bins anymore. They can use the bin, but I think it's important to note that, do those barrels need to have a recycling sticker, and where can they get those stickers?
That's an excellent point, Council. That was also one expectation or one issue that came up that was not anticipated, is if they don't want to use their barrels, what do they do with them? We'll be having a special collection for those barrels. But we do anticipate, in the spirit of recycling, to keep your barrels, as you pointed out, at Lowell City Hall, Neighborhood Services, at the Public Works at 1365 Middlesex Street, or the Health Department on Pine Street. We have stickers available. Otherwise, just take a marker, a permanent marker, mark it up with recycling paper in cans, and that will not necessarily mean you have to lug a small bin that you've had in the past, but every single week. But if your can barrel is filled up once every 3 weeks, take that out to the curbside. So, in the spirit of recycling, use that, and also may save you a trip or two, or save you back in knee joints from picking up a heavy bin every single week.
And just in terms of the bags, the purple bags, if people need additional bags, where can I get them?
Purple bags will be delivered and should be available after Valentine's Day, somewhere around the 16th. Gunther has worked, the contract's been signed with a third-party company to deliver those bags. They'll be going, we provide them with a list of various locations to go to. They will seek out smaller ones. They have a staff that will go around to smaller shops, but we anticipate Demoulas and Hannaford's and larger stores of that nature. We'll have those on the shelves shortly after Valentine's Day for those overflow bags.
Okay.
Correct. Good point. Thank you.
Will that go out in this informational brochure? I mean, what if at Valentine's Day I need to know where to go? Is that on the website? I know there was a launch on the website,
that, yes,
but everyone's
Counselor.
not on the web either. So
no, we can. I suspect the Demoulas will definitely. I think that's the majority of where there are Hannaford's. They were very accommodating.
Okay.
Gunther and his staff have put on workshops at a lot of the Demoulas's in Lowell. And Hannaford standing out there for multiple days, multiple hours, interacting with the general public, Lowell public. I expect them to be a partner, but that's a great point, is we'll try to think of a means to deliver the information on where the bags can be picked up.
Okay, just one more question, Mayor, and regarding, have we reached out to, like maybe CMMA, organizations with our Asian community?
I'll let Gunther speak to some of that outreach, those efforts.
Just to make sure it's published in publications are in their language, or I know they have a television show.
Yeah, Councilor, what we've done is twice now I've been to the CMMA, and we've done a translated program where I brought with me examples of the wheeled carts and recyclables and all the stickers. They have a stack of stickers there for their members, and as I did my workshop and demonstration, they translated it. We do have another session that we're scheduling at the Senior Center, a larger venue in Kamai, so that they can all come on that day and get a translated demonstration of how to use the cart and what to put into the appropriate recycling. In line with that, the LTC is broadcasting my little Independence Day PSA in Kamai with a voiceover, so it's our regular PSA. Also, I've been to WUML, and every day, certain hours, they have different language broadcasts. I've been there in studio as they read the frequently asked questions from the website, and they translate those into Portuguese, Khmer, Laos, and of course I was there several times to do it in English. So we have, through multimedia outreach, done some foreign language translation.
Is it possible to get that public service announcement on, I know we have a large Portuguese population as well, and there's a Portuguese channel, RTP. Is it possible to,
yeah,
I know that's satellite, I don't know.
I'll check with WUML, because they broadcast in Portuguese for a certain show. I'll make sure that show gets...
Any chance of a video being played on RTP?
I know that once the high school green team has created their video, they will have students do the voiceover in several foreign languages. That will run on channel 22, and then they'll broadcast it on 8, the municipal channel, and 95 also.
Okay. But we don't know. I just know the Portuguese people. I have a number of neighbors, and that's all. I mean, they watch that channel because that's their thing. So
yeah,
I don't know if we could look into it, but I think that would be another segment of our population.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all your help and your efforts. This is it's exciting, but it's a huge task for you folks, and glad to hear recycling's up, because I think that means our message is getting out. So. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Councilor Lindsay, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to commend the Commissioner and Gunther and his staff on this very challenging and labor-intensive project. Just the hype in building up to Independence Day, is there any measurement that we know of that has that recycling, the percentage of recycling has increased over the past few months, just with the hype building up to this change?
Mr. Mayor. Councilor, I think we have seen, I think Mr. McCarthy has referenced the fact that we've seen sort of an uptick of recycling. I don't think we have necessarily numbers yet on where those are. It's been more in the past month, and we don't get that information quite that frequently. But certainly I think that that's a number that we're watching very carefully, because we built our budget around the fact that those numbers are going to go up. So as soon as we get that information, I think that'll be a great report to bring back to the council to let you know how it's doing in terms of increasing those numbers. But I think you're right. I think that the fact that we're putting so much effort into this and linking it to recycling is bringing greater awareness to the fact that the city has a recycling program, that we don't do as well as we should, and we need to get those numbers up.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing those numbers. And even in the governor's speech, I think one of the things he emphasized was to the people, recycle like you've never recycled before. So I think the message is constantly being pounded out there, and hopefully we'll see some results fairly soon.
Absolutely.
Councilor Kazanjian, then we're going to move
Thank you,
on the
Mayor.
agenda.
Mr. Manager, do we have some of the inspectors lined up for March 2nd? I know it's going to be overwhelming for the DPW to handle that. Some from the building department, health department, so they can all work together and try to, make this thing happen. I mean, we're going to make it happen, but without less problems as
Right, there is coordination that's going on with the health department, with the inspectors. We also have the part-time staff people that working with Gunther that will be available to go out and do some of that. TJ, would you like to comment further on that aspect?
Yeah, I believe the tickets are being printed as we speak. And,
Well, not so much tickets, but if we're getting 40 calls an hour, I mean, when March 2nd comes, it's probably going to be crazy. And if some of the inspectors can go out there and reach out to these people and explain to them what's going on, and they're going to be on the road anyways, I mean, it just makes sense, and can, like I said, help out the DPW, because like I said, it's going to be overwhelming when that.
And again, I think the outreach workers are going to be crucial to that. You're right. It isn't just a case of going out and ticketing, and that's not something we want to do right away.
That's not what we're looking for.
It's to go out and educate people, and we will still have those
help them out.
outreach
There's going
workers.
to be some major issues and
Absolutely.
questions, and if all the inspectors are aware of it and they're on the road and say, hey, can you shoot over to such and such street? I'm right around the corner. I'll take care of it. I'll explain it to the lady and gentleman, and I think it just will be a big help.
Absolutely.
We have worked with the contractor. Contractor will be able to facilitate and educate at the same time. It's in the new contract that the manager is developing now.
Great.
So the educational component will be out there, but I think the enforcement part of that, after a certain period of time, we are going to have to get into some of the other phases.
Absolutely, but not right away.
The sticker program and again, the contractor will be able to facilitate any needs. Once we take those educational steps, we'll be able to get that waste off of the streets and hopefully rear down that portion of the operation so that we just have fully automated trucks.
Okay, thank you. And I also want to thank TJ and Gunther. I think they're doing a great job, and it's a big task. Thank you.
With no more discussion or debate on this particular issue, motion by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Rita Mercia to accept the communications from the city manager, place them on file, and all in favor, signify by saying aye. Moving on with the agenda. We have two reports pertaining to 19 Columbia Street and 2628 Lawrence Street. Motion to accept the reports and recommendations for Council Broderick, seconded by Council Elliott. Accept them and place them on file. All in favor, accepting the communications and place them on file, signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I mean, these are zoning amendments. Do they get voted, or they have to go to a public hearing?
They have to go to a public hearing March the 10th, Council.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that to my attention. All in favor of sending this to a public hearing on March the 10th, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? They're on the way to a public hearing. Communication from city manager requesting out-of-state travel. I believe there's 5 requests for out-of-state travel. Any discussion or debate on this particular issue? If none, roll call.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
9 yeas.
We have 3 appointments to various boards. I will read all the 3 appointments, and then we can take a roll call on all 3 at once. Is that okay with everyone?
I need to have one separated out.
Okay. Then I'll do them
The
separately.
Housing Authority one I need to.
I'll do them separately now. Let me see. Cemetery Commission, reappointment there too. Dear Mayor Caulfield, members of the City Council, please be advised I am reappointing John J. Bond of 86 Epping Street, Lowell, Mass., to the Cemetery Commission for a new 5-year term expiring January 13, 2014. Since confirmation by the City Council is not required, this letter is notification of such reappointment. All in favor of the appointment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next appointment, regard the Lowell Historic Board notice of reappointment request for confirmation. Dear Mayor Caulfield, members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Section 5A of Chapter 566 of the Acts of 1983, I have reappointed the following person to the Lowell Historic Board: Martha Mayo, 145 Lou Street, Lowell, Mass. Under the above referenced statute, confirmation by the City Council is required for this appointment and is hereby requested. This is for a 2-year term. No discussion, no debate, roll call.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Mayor Edward Caulfield and members of the City Council regard Lowell Housing Authority notes of reappointment requests for confirmation. Dear Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 121B, Section 5, I am reappointing Michael G. Zame, Esquire, 110 Park Avenue West, Unit E6, Lowell, Mass., as a member of the Lowell Housing Authority. This appointment shall be for a new 5-year term expiring December 28, 2013, or such time thereafter as a successor is appointed and qualified. Confirmation by the City Council is required for this appointment and hereby requested. Councilor Mercy, you have any discussion?
No, I just need to vote present.
Okay. Any questions, debate? Roll call.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Present.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 present.
Moving on with the agenda. Vote authorizing the City Manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift from Mr. William Susi of Susi Industries Incorporated of a pair of new railings installed on the staircase leading from Arcan Drive to JFK Plaza in the City of Lowell. Whereas William Susi of Susi Industries Incorporated desires to donate a pair of new railings installed on the staircase leading from Arcan Drive to JFK Plaza in the City of Lowell, and whereas the City of Lowell desires to accept the gift of said new railings to be installed on the staircase leading from Arcan Drive to JFK Plaza. Now therefore be it voted that the City Manager be and he is hereby authorized in the name of the City of Lowell to accept a gift from William Susi of Susi Industries Incorporated of a pair of new railings installed on the staircase leading from Arcan Drive to JFK Plaza in the City of Lowell pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A. Be it further voted that we, the members of the City Council of the City of Lowell, jointly and severally do hereby commend and officially thank William Susi of Susi Industries Incorporated for his generosity displayed in donating the aforesaid gift to the City of Lowell. Second reading by title. Authorizing the City Manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept the gift from Mr. William Susi of Susi Industries Incorporated of a pair of new railings installed on the staircases leading from Arcan Drive to the JFK Plaza in the City of Lowell. And yes, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am most truly grateful for this particular donation, having had that motion twice that spanned about, I don't know, maybe 7 years. So thank you. I'm so very thrilled. Thank you very much to this gentleman.
Mr. Manager?
Council, I'm glad to hear you're pleased. I have to say that, too, that I wasn't aware that you had raised this as a motion in the past. This was on 2 occasions.
Or maybe 3.
Or 3. This largely was a result of a meeting that the mayor invited me to with the Commission on Disabilities. We met with them, and this was an issue that they brought forward. I'm sure the same people that had brought it forward to you. Right. And we referred this off to, I referred this off to Mr. McCarthy, and he went right into action and had this work done. So I'm glad you're pleased. I'm glad that the mayor invited me to the Commission on Disabilities and that's
wonderful.
Behind us.
I'm so happy. Many people, even if you're not disabled, you need to climb those stairs with the rail, and it's really a matter of safety for the public, so thank you.
And Mr. Manager, the Mayor's office will certainly present Mr. Susi with a citation of thanks for his generosity. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes, and thank you.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Present.
8 yeas, 1 present.
Moving on with the agenda. Vote authorizing the City Manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in a total amount of $2,449,500 from the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development under the CDBG Neighborhood Stabilization Program, direct assistance to communities. Whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development has made available grant funds for stabilization of neighborhoods significantly impacted by foreclosures and property abandonment. And motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Full reading is waived. Second reading by title. Authorizing the City Manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the total amount of $2,449,500 from the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development under the CDBG Neighborhood Stabilization Program, direct assistance to communities. Any questions or discussion? Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say on behalf of the Foreclosure Prevention Task Force that has been meeting for a couple of years that we're very pleased that this application is going in, and I just want to congratulate the administration, specifically the city manager and the Planning and Development Office, for putting this forward, and would certainly request that my colleagues support this, because this is something that's really going to help the neighborhoods. It's been an effort that has been really across the city, and we're just very pleased that now this is coming about. So, thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, responding to the councilor, this was an issue that we've been tracking carefully to see when this money was going to come about. It was actually a motion by Councilor Milonazo some months ago that flagged this, that he had heard out on the street that these monies would be coming out. And unfortunately, we were not provided money as an entitlement community. We have to compete for this. There are only a number of communities that received it as an entitlement, but it's in cooperation with the work of the Foreclosure Task Force and other organizations here in the city, and our own planning that's gone into this through DPD to get this application. We were ready to go on it right away because we'd already been planning on it. So we think it's going to be a very important step forward for the city in terms of dealing with the issue of foreclosures. I know that the mayor has raised the issue of demolitions of properties in the past, which and the city council has been very concerned about that. So we think this is an important application for the city. We're optimistic we will receive the money and get to the work that needs to be done.
Any debate or questions? Roll call.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Moving on with the agenda. Vote. Order to meet mid-year fiscal year 2009 9C cuts. Ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the amount of $2,491,350 $2,491,350.80 be transferred from various accounts, all of which are more fully described in attachment A to the manager's contingency account 02234190-59800 as set forth in attachment A, second reading by title. In council order to meet mid-year fiscal year 2009 C cuts ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the amount of $2,491,350.80 be transferred to the manager's contingency account. Discussion. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, I went through the report that you gave to us, as mentioned earlier, where this says 561,994.20 short. And then another communication says, we're at 577. So was that after we received the information, or was this before we received the information from the state? Or we still have to come up with 561 in cuts, correct?
The 561 is the number that we have to come up with.
The new number,
Right.
okay. I did go through, can you explain salary and wages, where that money comes? Is that, as discussed in the subcommittee, that's part of the wage freeze that was part for a non-union, all non-union people?
It includes the wage freeze for the non-union people. It also includes the positions that were not filled with the hiring freeze that we put in place back in the fall, or late summer. There were a number of positions even before we formalized that hiring freeze that we had not moved forward on. In addition, there's always a lag in terms of filling some positions
right.
that produces savings for us. And there are positions or individuals that go out on sick leave or workers' compensation that we are able to recapture that money within those budgets. So that's what Mr. Moses has gone off and done in each one of these cases to actually come up with that money.
Okay, I noticed all of them, and I did go through all of them, Mr. Manager, Mr. Moses. It seems every office, with the exception of Human Relations, doesn't have a salary and wages reduction. Is that just an oversight, or is there something special? Really, every other division, of course, without police and fire, public safety, have salary and wages reduction. And I was just curious what the reason or purpose
That's
of that.
not an oversight. There's only 3 people there, and there really was no turnover, there's no savings there.
So what about cost of living or other wage increases? Did
It's
that?
so minor that,
No raise was given.
Yeah.
But it was a very small amount.
Okay, I mean, you can understand, I just went through every one, and every department had a salary and wage reduction with the exception of that one, so I just wanted to ask. So, and then, of course, as I asked earlier, the balance will be coming from all of the union and police and fire. No salary and wage reductions in police or fire, even with managers, because they're part of a union, is that correct?
There will be savings that come from those as well, but those will be coming down the road.
Forthcoming. Okay, great. Thank you. This was, I know it wasn't easy. There's a lot of line items. There's a lot of belt tightening, which is what we have to do. And I think the level of detail was good for us to take a look at where we are making those savings. So I appreciate it. And I know a lot of work went into it. So thank you.
Councilor Lindsay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under that itemization, SW, salaries and wages, perm, what does that denote?
permanent employees.
Permanent
Not
employees?
not temporary employees.
Okay. And then also under the treasurer, the DS principal denotes?
Debt service.
Yes, okay, with the interest also. So there was a large, considerable amount there also.
Right, those were the, if I may, those were the savings that we realized for a number of reasons, including the period at which we managed to go out to borrow was timed well to get us very good interest rates. On top of that, the report that we received from Moody's and from Standard & Poor's with our credit rating, with our bond rating, improving by removing the negative outlook, and we brought Standard & Poor's in this time to actually rate us as well, and they actually knocked us up a grade. The analysis that they did for us indicated that there were savings that accrued to the city because of the improved financial condition of the city that resulted in that increase in our bond.
And that bond rating is currently AA, or it was
never triple A.
I'm sorry.
It's an A3 for
A2,
Moody's.
A3.
It's A3 for Moody's and an A from Standard & Poor's.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'd just like to weigh in just briefly, Mr. Manager. I went through this request, and with all the salary and wages permanent deductions, it amounted to $644,068. So if that meant if we didn't have this fiscal crisis at the end of the fiscal year, we would have had this much money in free cash.
That's correct. Do you want to comment?
Probably even more than that.
That would be true, but without the fiscal crisis, we wouldn't have had the hiring freeze, so we wouldn't have generated all that savings.
We wouldn't have generated all, but Mr. Mayor, I think you're right. I think we would have, we might have filled some of the positions. We don't fill every position. I've tried to be very strong on that every position that becomes vacant since I've been manager, we don't move forward to fill. We have, put a freeze or put a halt on a number of positions that become vacant. But I think you're right that it would have generated some free cash, or what it would have done more than likely is the way we've done it the last couple of years is we would have accumulated those savings and transferred it over to the snow and ice account, which would have eliminated the deficit that we're now going to have to deal with in fiscal year 10, which obviously is going to be a tough year in and of itself. But now we're going to have a large snow and ice deficit to deal with that year as well.
We can actually thank God in our lucky stars that we had this bumper to rely on. If we didn't have this bumper to rely on. So with this request, Mr. Manager, no one right at this point in time is being affected with a layoff or losing their job.
At the current time, that's the case. We still have, as Councilor Elliott has pointed out, that we're still working on that $561,000, and we do have the issue that's the problem that's looming for fiscal year 10, which in all likelihood will result in some type of reduction in force, and the question will be the timing of that reduction in force so that we can limit the problems we have in fiscal year 10.
Okay, any other, Councilor Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's, I think you rightly point out that we're fortunate to have that number, but I don't think it magically appeared. I think, you know, I think the administration had to manage to that number, and the number of things that they implemented, some of which were suggested by this council, I think have borne some savings. So I think it's positive that the administration took the direction from the council, but also that they had the wherewithal to manage their way to some savings here. By way of follow-up, Mr. Manager, do we have any idea at this point what the snow and ice deficit might be? I mean,
The number that we're looking at right now is roughly $2 million. It's been a very tough winter.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now what is, Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the manager and to Mr. Moses, do we know at this point when we may hear the results of what's going on with the police department, those discussions that are still outstanding, and would they actually have an impact for this fiscal year from the standpoint of these 9C cuts?
Hopefully, we'll have something on that within the next, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
I'm hopeful.
Okay.
On that.
Thank you.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. Do we, I know we have a difference of 561,000, almost 562,000 we have to make up. Yeah, I know you're meeting with the unions. Do we have a kind of like a definite time or date where we can, you're going to meet with the unions or kind of complete this, where we can try to make up this difference?
We're meeting, we've met with several unions already.
Right.
We have almost everyone else, I think, is booked up for this week. And hopefully, again, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have that all wrapped up. And we have a plan we're ready to roll out that we're comfortable with that will achieve these savings.
You know, it'll come to that number, that 500.
Exactly.
All right, and everybody is pretty much on board with the unions and whatnot?
So far, I've been very,
good.
very pleased. I think
good.
that the bargaining units understand the problems we're facing. Again, we did a sheet yesterday that I think is very informative. Frankly, it was informative to us. We work these numbers all of the time, but when you lay it out in black and white, sometimes you see things that it jumps out at you a little bit more. And I'll be presenting that to the council as form of a communication in the very near future, probably going out in the next packet. We've sat down with the union so far and showed that to them. That really hammers home the extent of the problems we're facing next year. In a nutshell, what it shows is that a large part of our city budget, we have roughly a $290 million budget. To a very large extent, some $220 million of that, 290, is largely out of our control. So when we're looking at, somewhere in the vicinity of $9 to $13 million that we have to carve out of this budget next year, or somehow close that gap, whether it be carving out or some other mechanism. We're really working off of a very small portion of the budget. We're working off $70 million, $75 million. Once that is shown, people get a better understanding of what we're up against. And unfortunately, this isn't going to be a problem that goes away quickly. It's probably going to be with us for the next 2 to 3 years, at least. And, we have to find solutions that are going to take us through that period.
Okay. You think next meeting we'll have some?
I'm hopeful that next meeting
Okay,
I'll have
great.
something.
All right.
Something.
Any, Councilor Elliott?
Just one question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am troubled by our snow and ice deficit. I know I asked last meeting. I know it's underfunded, and typically we do use any, unreserved funds to cover it, which means that there isn't free cash. But I'd rather use that money to cover those deficits, because then we don't have to raise taxes. Are you planning, because we're making these cuts this year, to raise it on the recap sheet next year?
We have no.
I mean, that troubles me only because we're looking at those cuts, and I know your options are limited, but that's another. Where are we at? Is another $1 million?
Well,
or so?
I think the short answer to that is, if you don't do it this year, if we don't have money left over this year from accounts to fund that, then yes, it rolls into next year and gets funded on the recap sheet, which I believe is the way it had always been funded here in the city up until the last couple of years. So we were very pleased that we were able to eliminate that. But the longer answer is to ask for the council's patience as we craft that 2010 plan, because in the back of our minds, or in the front of our minds, we're looking at how do we deal with these reductions, how do we deal with the council's and the administration's interest in maintaining essential services, and how do we do all of that without having a large tax burden, a large burden on the taxpayers. So we're dealing with a lot of pieces right now on that, but certainly we don't have a lot of choices. The other option is to close that $2 million budget gap. The other option that we have out there certainly is to go against what we've already indicated publicly, and that's to begin laying off employees now to make up that $2 million.
No, I don't disagree. But part of, do we take our medicine now, or, I'm concerned that the budget is so tight, as you mentioned, and it was very helpful to learn that we're looking to cut 9 to 13, essentially out of a $70 million budget. Knowing that whatever that number is, adding, did you say was $2 million?
We're estimating
around
two.
$2
We still
million?
have another, 6. The groundhog saw his shadow, so we have another 6 weeks
Right.
of winter.
Okay.
So.
Do we start looking at trying to take a chunk of that with additional, and if you're saying from here on in, it's bodies, and we've made that, and I agree, but there's no other expense areas, there's no other, and I'm sure you'll comb through it. $2 million is a big figure, so
Right.
We'll wait to hear the report in 2 weeks. Thank you. I didn't know it was that large, but we've got to deal with it.
That's an estimate at this point in time, based upon other years' spending and the level of spending that's already been in place this year.
Thank you.
Okay, no other discussion or debate? What's before the body is vote to transfer $2,491,350.80 from various accounts to manager's contingency account. Roll call.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
9 yeas.
The next 2 articles on the agenda will be going to a public hearing if the council wishes on February 24th. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, amended by amending various sections of Chapter 243, Article 6 thereof, entitled Excavations. The second I'll read. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, the code with respect to Chapter 150 thereof, entitled Fees. Motion to send this to a public hearing by Council Broderick, seconded by Council Lindsay. Public hearing is February 24th. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Subcommittee report.
Subcommittee reports? No subcommittee reports.
None.
Moving on with the before we move on to the other issues, Mr. Manager, the stimulus package in Washington, I have picked up that they're going to fund special projects in communities and urban cities and so forth.
That's correct.
Sewer projects and so forth. Is there any chance of that stimulus package funding, working on a waste treatment plant? Conference committee.
Yeah, it's
assisting us with that financially.
Yes, we have. We've submitted the number of the wastewater projects. We've also included some of the economic development project areas that, like the Hamilton Canal project, that will be shovel ready and ready to go. That was a request from the state administration that we include that. We have a number of other projects that we've submitted to the.
I'm just concerned about the bond that the council passed.
Right.
What would happen to that bond if we receive millions from the?
If we received the money for the for that project, then we would be able to not move forward. We actually haven't borrowed that money yet, so we wouldn't. We simply wouldn't have to borrow that.
That's good. That's good news to hear. I just had to ask that question, Mr. Manager. So moving on with the agenda. Department of Public Works, Division of Streets and Highways, and Superintendent of Wires, National Grid, and Verizon New England Hall Street, one pole location. Accept the adopted accompanying orders by Councilor Armin Mercier, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Okay. The second petition. Mammoth Fire Alarms, 176 Walker Street, requests purchase of land adjacent to 81 Old Ferry Road. Refer to Manager Lynch, and I believe there's 15,000 square feet here. This man is a businessman presently in the city. He's a good businessman who, his community relations are excellent. One Stop Uniform, 610 Gorham Street, Lowell, Mass. Request for 15-minute parking sign, and that's going to be referred to the traffic engineer by Councilor Lindsay. Vengus Pollard, let me see, Boggins, Pollard, 408 Bridge Street, request 50-minute parking sign, refer that to the traffic engineer by Councilor Elliott. National Grid, underground conduits in City of Lowell, there's going to be a hearing, please, February 24th, is that 20? February 24th, Verizon New England, request one pole location at Burn Street. Request to a public hearing, February 24th. So moved by Councilor Kazanjian, seconded by Councilor Lindsay. And Verizon New England request one pole on Burn Street. That's the same one, isn't it? Okay. We have 3 claims of property damage referred to the Law Department by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian. We're now into the motions. And we all thought this was going to be a long evening, but it progressed pretty well.
Not over.
Be patient.
No, I mean,
Motion by Councilor Elliott. City
Don't
Council
jinx
requests the
us.
city manager to have the Law Department update the council on the knife ordinance, seconded by Councilor Lindsay.
Thank you, Manager. Mayor, the motion speaks for itself. We actually received a communication dated February 6th from the Law Department outlining the issues associated with it. Essentially, there is a knife, not a knife ordinance, but part of the Mass General Laws just does specify so many types of knives, and this was in response to, I think, Councilor Broderick and Councilor Mercier's motion following the stabbing, or number of stabbings in the city. So we did receive an update. I'm wondering if the solicitor could just briefly walk us through this. It's a pretty extensive description. I had received communications from members of communities, churches that are working with the gang units that are interested in this, and they asked me to follow up on it. So I did. I don't know if this should be referred to the Public Safety Subcommittee, or it was actually, so I don't know if we can have that meeting, but a number of priests and reverends in the city are trying to work with members of these gangs and try to get this forward. So maybe the chairman could schedule a meeting, and they'd like to attend. So
You'd like to refer this to the Public Safety
well,
Subcommittee?
I know it was. I just wanted an update. We did get the update. Yeah. So essentially what it says is there are laws covering it. Is that right, Madam Solicitor? There are general laws, and putting a knife ordinance in place wouldn't supersede or circumvent, but...
There's a question that we are currently researching. Attorney Leahy has been working on this and had spent many years in the district attorney's office prior to coming to the law department. We're looking at the issue to see if there's a question that we are preempted from enacting any of our own legislation, or whether the state has fully regulated this area of knife control. And as you can see from his opinion, the statutes have quite an extensive list on prohibited knives, as well as what constitutes, a knife sort of at the ready in a dangerous state. That's an issue that we're looking at. He will provide the council with an updated report, and I'm sure he'd be happy to attend whatever subcommittee meeting is formed on it.
Okay. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion on the agenda by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests a Green Building Commission report be forwarded to the Environmental Subcommittee, seconded by Councilor Ahmed Mercier.
Again, the motion speaks for itself, but just very briefly, it's been a year since the Green Building Commission was formed, and they produced a report, and I think it's important to send it to the Environmental Subcommittee as we look at the stimulus package, and billions are included for green projects and green energy, and they have some very good ideas and suggestions. So that's the motion, if we could refer it over to the subcommittee.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next motion by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests the city manager update the City Council on the discussions with UMass officials and state officials relative to the control of the Songus Arena, seconded by Alan Kazan. Councilor Kazan.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We did receive a report from you on Friday on, I know we had discussed this at a council meeting of January 13th, and you provided us with an update. And I was, my interest clearly was piqued when I read the last paragraph of your memo back to us, that you prepared a counter proposal. Can you tell? I know I'm not going to try to discuss this in public, but where are we at? I know you included a copy of the Chancellor's terms, and it was clear in his communication, these are the terms, this is what has been accepted by his boss, Jack Wilson. So I just wanted to get an update, pardon me, the status, progress. I know we had discussions that maybe the chairman of Ways and Means should be involved, considering that is where the money is coming from, a higher education bond authorization. So can the council get a copy of what that proposal is? And I would, it's good to try to see if we can keep this, moving, and what the city's position is. And I know you're charged with that. So, Mr. Manager,
I will get that to you. It was actually, I've been in contact with the Chancellor, who
It is easy.
sent me correspondence and indicated that he asking me to work through Senator Pangiatakis, which I have been in touch with Senator Pangiatakis. We've actually finalized the sort of a counter to address some of the issues that I raised in my correspondence to the council back in November, and that will be that is ready to go out. Be either sent out later tonight or first thing in the morning, and then I will be providing a copy of that to the council in response to tonight's motion.
Okay. Naturally, we had a lengthy discussion about closing gaps this year and next year, and knowing the arena is, I don't know, we're faced with $800,000 this year, or whatever the estimate may or may not be. It'd be nice to get that, I guess, monkey off your back, if you will, and still maintain. I don't know if it's going to go, but in any event, that's my thought behind it. So, look forward to that update.
We'll have that report to you at the next council meeting.
Thank you.
In fact, I can probably send it out to the council ahead of that time.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Thank you, Mayor. I did talk to the senator this afternoon, and he has not received anything yet. That's
correct. It's going out. In fact, we met on it today and finalized the wording, and that's going out to say I can actually go out tonight, first thing in the morning.
Okay, great. And like Councilor Elliott had said, we're trying to expedite this as soon as we can to get this monkey off our back. And
right.
It's we're losing well over $1 million a year there, and with the problems we're having, I mean, I'm sure it will help. And will we receive that proposal in our packet or sooner? Can we?
Yeah, I can actually get it out to the council. I'll send it out in separate cover if that's
that'd be great.
If that's helpful.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councilor Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just having to do with that issue, PA Sports was doing a consulting, and that was, they're working on the LaLasha Park, but also had something to do with the Songus Arena?
That's correct.
So I thought I read maybe March 1st that report would be finished. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so there'd be some sort of information forthcoming regarding any suggestions or things regarding the Songus? And is then the Lasher Park part of that?
They didn't, their work for the city was to review the operations of the arena, whether the city held on to it or the university took it over. It could be, that information could be used either way. And that was discussed, Chancellor and I discussed that back in November or October. And the Lasher work was separate from that, and that was simply to assist in the RFP process and the negotiations on a renewal of or a lease for the Lasher.
So those are total
Two separate
contracts.
issues.
Okay.
Right.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. When we met with the Arena Commission on the arena, I thought that was pretty much the PA Sports information that we talked about and you presented to us.
We talking about the special meeting we just?
No. This was probably a month ago, on the arena itself.
Right.
Was that the information that you've got for PA Sports? How
No, we
we're
haven't.
going to try. How we're supposedly going to try to save money, this, that, whatever.
No, that wasn't. That was more. That was a combination of things. That was. We had brought PA Sports on at that point, and they were already beginning their data collection and review of procedures over at the Songus by SMG. But I had sent some correspondence to the Arena Commission right about a week before we had set up that meeting. Actually, it was before I knew there was going to be a meeting. But I had sent over something to the Arena Commission asking them or instructing them that we could not accommodate continued deficits that had been running, and that under the new SMG contract, the Arena Commission has certain authority to review their costs. And I asked them or instructed them to go back to SMG and reduce some of those costs to get it down to a more manageable number. Simultaneous to that, or soon after that, I should say, SMG contacted my office and the Arena Commission and indicated that they had gone through their operations and had identified some savings right off the bat. So those savings that came at that meeting were savings that were identified by the SMG in part on their own, in part I assume because of the instructions that I had sent to the Arena Commission, but PA Sports is intended to go beyond that in terms of budgetary savings.
Okay, so we should have that at the beginning of March?
It should be in the beginning of March,
okay,
right?
Great.
And we've also received the another issue that came up during the negotiations that the Chancellor and I had is the issue of an appraisal. And we have at least the first part of that. I have to check and see if it's actually complete, but we have the first part of that appraisal completed as well, and I can make a copy of that available to the council as well.
Okay. Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, I'm still concerned on how we're paying PA Sports and their airfare and transportation and meals and lodging when we're in fiscally hard times. Are we paying them from the Arena Commission money that's at a deficit of $1.3 million? How are we actually?
The Arena Commission does receive a budget. They also have money set aside in their capital account. I believe that's the account that's coming out of. If I could, I would liken it to if the Arena Commission had the opportunity to bring someone in to do an energy audit at the arena to find ways to cut costs on how we use energy over there. I think we'd all believe that would be a very good investment. Likewise, in this case, PA Sports was brought on to find savings in the operation of the arena. The operation of the arena is something that all of us have ideas, but we've never run an arena of that sort before. PA Sports has done that. So the thought behind that is, yes, we will spend $25,000 on that contract to have them come in and do an audit of an operational audit of how the SMG is running the Songus on behalf of the city, with the understanding and that savings that will be derived from that will far exceed the $25,000 that's being spent.
The $25,000, the $1,500 a month that they're getting, is that part of the $25,000?
No, the $1,500 a month is a separate phase that, in the event that the city was interested, they would be willing to stay on as consultants to the city in the future. We have not made any commitment to that. We want to see, there are a number of questions here. One, are they going to save us, in excess of the $25,000? Is their expertise worth the money we're spending? Two, even if it is there anything more that will be derived, any more benefits that the city would receive by spending the $1,500? And that hasn't been determined in any way yet. And third, obviously, if the arena no longer belongs to the city, then that goes away as well.
If you fill an application out through NIMCOG, you'll get an energy audit for nothing.
I use that as an example, not as the...
Oh. Thank you.
Councilor Elliott?
Can the Arena Commission, doesn't the council have to appropriate that money out of that capital equipment fund? It's for capital improvements, correct? That surcharge? That seems like more of an operating cost consultant contract. And shouldn't any appropriation come before us?
It's $18,000 if it's $1,500 a month.
But we're not spending $1,500 a month.
I'm saying, but if
whether
we
it's
do, right.
whether it's the contract for consulting or the contract for there's two contracts that you approved. Where did the money come from? It came from. It didn't. Did it come from the enterprise fund or did it come from the capital?
It was either the enterprise fund or the capital. We can double check that. But it's money. It's a regular contract that they. Since I know that since I've been here, they've, for instance, brought on engineers to do analysis of the ice system, to do repairs to. I had a contract for repairs to certain elements of the arena. It's a contract similar to those.
Okay. Can you get us a report as to? We adopt a dollar figure in our budget. And the arena runs a deficit. How are they able to exceed our budget? And because that deficit has to be covered year end. So how are they able to do that, quite frankly? We should have asked this question a long time ago, but how are they able to just continue to spend in excess of what is budgeted?
Well, I think that's a very, they do have, and this is sort of the oddity of the way that the Arena Commission was set up back 10 years ago, or more than 10 years ago, they have certain authority in the management or the running of the arena, and then it falls upon the city to make up the difference. But it's just like any other enterprise. We do have other enterprises. Actually, right now they're all running at a profit. Or in the positive, but it's certainly conceivable that an enterprise, in order to carry out its functions, will run into, and largely it's a result of, it can be spending, but it can be lack of revenue as well. And in this particular case, I think it's a combination of both at the arena. The costs of SMG to run that facility, or at least the cost that SMG has indicated to run that facility, and the revenue that comes in that's supposed to cover that, they don't match up. And so what we're trying to determine is, how do we boost if the arena stays with the city, or even if it goes to the university, how do we make sure that it's profitable in that more revenues can be gained and less costs occur?
So when that dollar figure comes in, when we adopt it in our budget, that doesn't, is that the total dollar figure? And I'm going to look in the budget.
I don't have that either.
It's regardless of whether the revenue is coming in or not, my question is, are they exceeding that dollar figure that's presented in the budget?
Not on the expense side, it's the revenues.
Not on the expense side,
It's the
okay.
revenues that we're not getting in.
Okay, so when do you get a budget? Because I've not seen a budget of the arena when that comes in.
Well, we gave, I believe we gave, well, we have the financial reports that we provided to the council
Right.
a couple months ago.
Can we get that at some point, or
Sure.
you know, in the future, exactly what is being spent over there and where these, you know, contract dollars are coming from? It's got to be in that budget line item, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And I think that we're due to get another report, financial report to the arena, from the SMG to the Arena Commission, and then a copy of that to the council as well.
Thank you.
Council Lindsay, then Council Gazanjian, then we're going to move on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that was kind of my question. If we've reduced some expenses at the arena, are those are those funds that we can transfer to the manager's contingency?
No, it's just all because it's you're really dealing with first off, it's an enterprise, so you can't. That's not. This is just general funds you can transfer over. So that's an enterprise, and the second is that it's you're still running a deficit there.
Okay.
Albeit much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Council Gazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. I also agree with Councilor Rita Mercier. Why are we spending $25,000 for PA Sports, especially when we go negotiate with the university, and we could have gotten the craft report from the university for nothing. I mean, so $25,000, to me, we could have saved, and especially these economic times, or any time, if we can save it.
Well, I guess there's 2 points that I would make on that, Councilor. First is we did ask for a copy of the craft report, and that has not been provided to the Arena Commission or to the city, but we did ask for it. The second is that, again, this was something that was done jointly, in fact, by all the members of the Arena Commission, as well as communications that I had with the Chancellor on the advisability of going with PA Sports or having a consultant come in. The Chancellor was actually looking at another firm to recommend or to have the university deal with, and we were working simultaneously on this. The notion being that, the goal here is to, just like so many other aspects of city operations, we're looking to reduce costs. And you utilize whatever technical expertise is out there if it seems to make sense. Clearly, we're not going to hire someone and pay them some sum of money if they're not going to be bringing some dollar value to us. But the thought process behind this with the Arena Commission and the city administration, very frankly, was that this would be someone that could come in and be someone to be an expert to review what SMG does, and really hold their feet to the fire and get some savings out of them.
You know where I stand with the arena, and I think some of my colleagues that I think we should work with the university as much as we can and get rid of the arena, and get rid of this white elephant. And I just hope the administration's on the same page that we are. That's all.
The administration has been on that same page and continues to be on that same page and will stay on that same page.
Okay.
That,
That's all I'm asking. That's all I want.
The discussions regarding the university and the city working together to look at a transfer goes back many months. And there were numerous conversations, and there's been stop and go, and I don't think we have to, keep on.
No, we don't. I talked to the senator today. He's looking forward to your proposal, and he's anxious to see it.
Council Broderick, then we're going to move on.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I think it was $25,000 well spent. If we transferred it next week, we may look back and say, geez, we might have been able to get away without spending it, but I think we charged you and the Arena Commission for over the past year to find out what can we do with the arena. With the understanding you've been negotiating with the Chancellor, and that something may happen, it may not, it may take a year or two, excuse me, stop and go and whatnot, but the reality is, as soon as these people came in with a report, I think we saw a drastic reduction from SMG to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars less that, this all of a sudden could be run for. So I think that, the $25,000 was well spent. And, you know, I, for one, am not going to second-guess the Arena Commission making the call to bring them in. I think that it was a good call. I think, if anything, we see now maybe it could have been done years ago and perhaps been reined in over time, and things might be a little different now. But the reality is, I think the $25,000 has probably already paid for itself in the last couple of months since hopefully SMG's started to go by their carts, and we'll see that in the next report. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The last motion of the evening by Councilor Rita Mercier. City Council requests the city manager to report if there are any plans in place for replicating the police repair garage in the event the land near the Songus Arena is sold. Seconded by Councilor Milonazo. On the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, we do hear much discussion about the Songus Arena and the on-again, off-again plans to either give it away or not give it away, and there's talk about the 3 acres of parcel of property for sale with a possible $800,000 price tag, but little is ever said to this council as to the police garage that sits on that land. My motion is about the thought to this site and the plans as to where we would replicate this facility and what cost would we incur during these fiscally hard times. Not that I'm saying I'm against the plans for the Songus Arena to be eliminated from the city deficit for our taxpayers, but we have to look at the whole overall picture, and the police and the fire department do need a repair facility. I know that when we bonded money, $2 million or whatever, for the 911, we extended it out into the garage at the Arcan Drive ladder or engine 3, and we put it down over there, and where it is at the old facility where it is now. And so I wanted to know where we'd replicate it if we needed to move forward with selling that land, and if there's any plans in place to do so. The site was once the old post office maintenance facility, and it sits on 56,503 square feet, which equals to about 1.3 acres of land. The total value of this property is $1,445,100, so we need to look at the whole picture of that price as to what we're talking about. And I'm asking this because it is a form of intellectual curiosity. I thought I'd bring this motion forward. The closest facility to this would possibly be someplace like 1,400 Motors, and I don't know if the city has any land of that size, and even if we did have the land, we'd still have to build a building with 7 bays, and so I don't know how much the cost would be, if we'd have to pay more or whatever, and I'm just looking at these factors, they come into the equation, and I'd just like to have you provide some information. It would be appreciated by me. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Just before we adjourn, we've had a very busy evening. We had hundreds of people in City Hall. We recognized everyone in Winterfest, gave out all the trophies. We recognized Kevin Coughlin from Saints Memorial Hospital, and he will be having an event Thursday evening at Lowell Memorial Auditorium at 6 p.m. And we recognized Richard E. Bolton, Jr., President, new CEO of Lowell Cooperative Bank. So we did accomplish a lot tonight, a lot of motions. I think the meeting was very positive. And with that said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn by Councilor Alma Mercier, seconded by Councilor Bill Martin. Thank you.